What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here. Welcome back to Wild Eye Wednesday. I did take last week off. I just needed to decompress, and also with summer approaching, I had a lot of work to do outside to prepare our house and yard. But big thanks to everyone who commented on all of my Wild Eye Week videos and everybody that participated, and to Brad and all the organizers. It was a great week. I had mentioned that I changed some of my plans and that I had an animated film that I wanted to work in for some variety. So I'll be getting to that, and pretty much eventually all the physical copies of the Wild Eye films that I have. One of the first ones that I got, because I had heard some good things, was House of Salem from 2016, which I'm reviewing today. And this was filmed in Kent, England. That's the sound of my Prius turning off. Okay. This was filmed in Kent, England, released in 2016. And this was a very solid one. I was not disappointed. The review will be rather short because I really don't want to give anything away. But then I want to mention some connections to some other films, which I found kind of interesting. And I think people will be making when a certain other film comes out. And I don't believe it's out yet. And the film that I'm talking about is Black Phone with Ethan Hawke. So basically, quick review. You have a young child, 12-ish, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 14, I guess. I don't know. Somewhere around there. Who's at home with his babysitter when some masked figures come in and kidnap him. They're wearing clown masks. There's some different varieties of masks in this film. And unexpectedly, the babysitter pulls out a weapon, and so it doesn't go well. So when they leave, she is injured, but she is not. She's still alive. But then something else happens in the house after they kidnap the boy, and I won't get into it because it's a bit of a spoiler, and that tells you right away this is not going to be a straight crime thriller as far as the kidnapping story, which you can kind of tell by the title. Okay, I mean not the title, the cover art. You kind of had that idea, and it, being a Wild Eye film, you kind of have a clue that it's going to be skewed more towards horror. So right away you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of interesting, going in some different directions. So then we follow the kidnappers. They go to a country farmhouse where they're basically just going to hole up, make a tape of the kid, like a ransom tape, and just wait for further instructions. The leader of the kidnappers is the only one that's in contact with the client, the person that has paid them to kidnap this child. So they speak on the phone, and basically the directions are just hole up, don't touch anything, don't go exploring, not even in the house, which is kind of interesting, and just wait for further directions. And as you know, do you think everything goes according to plan? Of course not. So right away, you start to have some odd things happening, almost like some poltergeist activity, lights flickering off and on and knocking and things like that. And let's just talk about the kidnappers for a moment. You have the ringleader, then you have a younger lady who mostly deals with the child. She has a bit of a softer presence. She's less threatening, so she's the one that sort of attends to the needs of the child, who is wearing a mask, by the way. They put in like an animal mask on him, and they are all wearing animal masks in his presence. No, they have clown masks, excuse me, but he's got like an animal mask. And then you have like a computer/technical guy with them who's a bit of a nervous type. And then you have like essentially two henchmen who are like more like the muscle. One of them is kind of ice cold. In a lot of movies, he would be like the unhinged lunatic. He's a little more trigger happy than everyone else, but they don't really go in that direction too heavily, which I think was smart because they focus more on the supernatural elements as the film goes on. And then you have another guy who's kind of, once things start to go south, he gets a little more nervous than the rest of the crew. And basically, you have supernatural things start to occur. The child, seems to be aware of things that he shouldn't be aware of. He seems to know about some events that happened in the house, and they're like, well, he's got a mask on. How does he know this stuff? There is a symbol, which you see here and there throughout the house. Eventually they go poking around. They find a trunk in the basement with a symbol on it. They essentially become trapped in the house, and at one point they try to make a break for it, and things go badly. And the child is able to get free at one point, and they have to chase him. And then at the end, towards the end, you have some visitors arrive. And if you've seen the cover art, that's kind of what they look like. So there's certainly a connection to the house. And what I like about it is once they get to the end, it goes on for a bit. You've got a bit of action and a few twists here at the end that I thought was kind of interesting. You know, it's not like you got to the ending and things were wrapped up in 10 or 15 minutes. It went on for a while. This is a solid film. I enjoyed it. It did not have the biggest budget in the world. There's a scene where, and I have a Dollar Tree Theater review coming out, and it kind of reminded me, in that film, someone swings an axe. So you see the axe, and then you see the result, but they don't show the whole thing. In this film, someone has to pull a firearm and use it. You see that, and then you see the result, but you don't see the whole thing. You see the after effects. They cut right, and I think that's for budget reasons. Other than that, a lot of the effects were well done. The visitors who arrive are sufficiently creepy. This is a good film. Now, this film does appear to have some similarities with Black Phone, or actually the other way around. The kidnapping, the connection between, I don't want to say too much here, but if you've seen the trailers, you know the possible connection between the current kidnappee, the kid that gets kidnapped, and some previous victims. That there's a similarity between this film and appears to be between this film and Black Phone. Now, this film also reminded me of another film of a kidnapped child from 2007, of a film called Whisper, which starred Josh Holloway. That was my primary reason for watching it back then, because I was, like a lot of people, I was into the movie Lost. In that film, they kidnapped this child, and they start to hear whispering, and all kinds of things ensue, and the child is not who he seems. I'll tell you, all three of these films have a lot in common, and I wonder who borrowed from who, or are we talking about just sheer coincidence? I definitely want to go back and rewatch Whisper now, because now, having looked it up, it also has Michael Rooker, Joel Edgerton, Sarah Wayne Callies. I didn't remember any of that, so I got to go back and check that out. So, and maybe after I see Black Phone, I can discuss the similarities between all three films. I think that might be interesting. So, House of Salem, definitely, I had heard good things. I was not disappointed. This is a solid film. I'll definitely be rewatching this in the future. I gotta admit, I started this perhaps a little bit too late, and even though the end was kind of riveting, I was getting tired. So I definitely got to rewatch this. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Later.